Yo, what is up, guys? I'm your boy as always with Nick with Pick My Man as always, guys. We're gonna be talking about the absolute frauds in the UFC that we've seen recently and the absolute can crushers that have made their way to the UFC somehow. And we're gonna be going over all the weight classes, some of these cans that we have in every weight class in the UFC. So first of all, before we get into it, guys, I want to say that I respect all the fighters out there that are going out there fighting in a cage for a living. It's not easy, and I really don't hate them or anything like that. We're just trying to have fun here with this video, and we're gonna be starting with the flyweights, and we're gonna be moving over to heavyweights after that. So let's get into it, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like down below, subscribe to the channel if you found this video for the first time, and become a member, guys. It helps me out if you become a member on the channel, and you get a lot for the memberships on the channel, and you get channel perks, and you also get to see the bets that I'm placing for next week. Now let's get into it, guys. First fighter that we're going to be talking about is going to be at flyweight. We got a couple of guys at flyweight. I mean, these lower weight classes don't really have a ton of cans. I mean, most of these guys are really scaled. But I had to put this guy in here. Denise Bondar is an absolute fraud, and I don't know how he ever made it, how he ever beat up a guy like Steve Ursa in amateurs. He somehow beat Steve Ursa in amateurs. I have no clue how he did it, but obviously Steve Ursa was very young and inexperienced back then. And since making his UFC debut, I mean, he went 0-3. He lost to Malcolm Gordon. I mean, if you're losing to Malcolm Gordon, like you deserve to be here at the in this video. And he also got TKO'd by Carlos Hernandez. I mean, he got slammed on his head, got TKO'd, but the referee called it a technical decision because I think there was a headbutt in there before the slam. So the referee called it. They went to a technical decision. Then last time, I mean, he fought my boy Luis Rodriguez, and he was a favorite in that one. I mean, Luis Rodriguez was the underdog in that one, and that was at UFC Mexico City, and he was actually doing decent out there, man. He was looking clean out there, getting some takedowns, looking clean on the feet too. Eventually found a way to lose. I mean, my boy Luis Hernandez found that rear naked choke submission and got that submission in. So good for Luis Rodriguez there. I'm happy that Bonder got absolutely fraud checked again, and he's not in the UFC anymore. I heard he got released from the UFC. Sucks for him though, but I don't think he ever deserved to be in the UFC in the first place. Now let's talk about the next fighter, guys. Next fighter is gonna be Carlos Vera. I think he fights at bantamweight, so I don't have the fighters in order anymore, but so Carlos Vera, remember he made his UFC debut. He was supposed to fight Daniel Marcos. He was also supposed to fight another guy in his debut, but those fights were canceled. Now he was supposed to fight Victor Hugo Silva, yeah. So those fights were canceled, and so then he fought Renya Nakamura. Obviously a tough fight for him, but then the only reason I hate Carlos Vera, I don't hate him personally, but I dislike him because he's a jiu-jitsu nerd. I mean, he's like Ryan Hall 2.0. He trains with Ryan Hall, so I wouldn't expect too much from him, obviously, right? And last time, I mean, when he was fighting a Nakamura, I mean, Joe Rogan was absolutely glazing his nuts in his face. I mean, like Joe Rogan loves jiu-jitsu nerds. I don't know why Joe Rogan so why Joe Rogan loves these jiu-jitsu nerds that keep going for leg locks. I mean, arm bars off their back. They're and he was out there pulling guard again too. Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to see Nakamura knock him out cold, but we didn't get what we wanted. So still Nakamura dominated him, but obviously Nakamura is a tough fight though. But still, I don't think he has done enough to be in the UFC. He hasn't really beat anyone that good, even in regional MMA. And I think he's gonna go on a losing streak in the UFC. Even if he comes back, he's 37 years old almost, fighting at bantamweight. And I think he's gonna go on a losing streak in the UFC. So let's go with the next one, guys. Next one is gonna our boy Daniel Lacerda, man. Daniel Lacerda, honestly, like he's a fun guy to watch, but he went 0-5 in the UFC. It's crazy that the UFC didn't release him. I mean, so he went out there. They remade that matchup with the Chavez. I mean, even though the first fight should have been a submission, first round submission, and Lacerda has some of the worst fight IQ I've seen, some of the worst cardio I've seen, some of the worst. Like he's a fun guy to watch because he's going out there getting finished. He's been finished all of his 5 losses at the UFC level, and so he's not a boring fighter by any means, but still he's a terrible fighter. And I'm glad he got cut. He got cut also by the UFC just recently after his fight with the Chavez. I think he got a takedown on Chavez and got ran right into that triangle choke and tapped out. So that was a quick one there. So It was I mean, it was fun seeing the sort of fights as long as it lasted, but he's out of the UFC now. Let's talk about the next one, guys. Sumer Darzi. Now, this dude was somehow ranked at one point. I mean, I don't know how Sumer Darzi was ever ranked. He had a really good fight with Matt Chanel. I mean, he was absolutely whooping Matt Chanel and then found a way to lose because he's got no grappling. He's never heard of what grappling is in his life. And he got submitted. He's been submitted like all five of his losses has been subbed. And he went out there against Tim Elliott. I picked Tim Elliott by submission. He got subbed there too. And Tim Elliott was playing around on the feet in the first like 2 minutes, and he's like, "Let me just take this guy down and submit him." And then it wasn't like as soon as you take this guy Simmer Darcy down, like you can submit this guy like right away. It doesn't take much to submit this guy. And yeah, he got submitted in the first like 2 minutes by Tim Elliott. He's been submitted by Matt Chanel. He's been submitted by so many people at flyweight. He's going out there like it's his fucking job to get submitted each and every time. So I don't think he's ever gonna make improvements in the grappling. I think he's gonna lose every time. Anyone that if he fights anyone that has like somewhat just knows how to grapple at all, I think they can submit this guy. Let's talk about the next one, guys. So Eric Silva, man, he just I don't know how he ever made to UFC. He beat up an absolute can on Dana White Contender Series, the guy that only had like 3 fights in his career, and he took him down and got some ground and pound off. And Eric Silva, like he's been looking dog shit. I mean, he made his UFC debut, got submitted, and then he fought on that Mexican City card, ate a spinning back kick to the face, and then like broke his ankle or some shit. Like it just kind of felt like he really didn't want to be there. And it was a terrible way for him to lose. And I think he should be cut from the UFC. I don't think it really should be at the UFC level, fighting at the UFC level. Yeah, Eric Silva is an absolute can. Let's go to the next one, guys. Next one is gonna be Dennis Bajuka, man. He trains out of Ray Longo and Weidman Gym. So I was like, a lot of people are really high on him. He made his UFC debut against Sean Woodson. I mean, obviously that's a tough matchup for him. Sean Woodson's like a weight bully. Should be fighting at like 140. I mean, 155 or something lightweight or welterweight. I mean, Woodson has fought at heavyweight, to be honest, so it's crazy that this dude fights at featherweight, 145. And then if Luke, I mean, I was like, maybe he's got a chance against Jamal Emmers. I actually bet over 2.5 rounds in his fight with Jamal Emmers. He goes out there, gets knocked up by Jamal Emmers. I mean, Jamal Emmers doesn't really knock at anyone. I mean, who has Emmers been going out there knocking already? Not anyone. I haven't seen Jamal Emmers knock out anyone at the UFC level. And he got knocked out in like the first minute by Jamal Emmers. Jamal Emmers is a really technical fighter. He's a really skilled fighter, but still, like getting knocked out in under a minute by Jamal Emmers, I mean, doesn't really happen all that much. I think Bazooka is an absolute can too. I think he's not like the worst can out there in the UFC, but he's hasn't had a. I mean, since making his UFC debut, things just haven't gone well for him, and I don't think he's all that skilled, to be honest. He's known for his grappling, can never get a takedown, so I think he's gonna go on an 0-3 run. Even his next fight, I think he's gonna lose his next fight too. Even though he trains with the Ultimate Sterling and those guys, like this dude just sucks. All right, guys, there is gonna be. How can we forget about Weston the Goat Wilson? Weston Wilson, man, he's just two fights in the UFC have been tough. He made his UFC debut against Jonas Brito, went for a leg lock and got his face smashed into the canvas. And then they gave him a Western like then they gave him Gene Silva. Gene Silva knocked him down a couple of times. I mean, just knocked him out. I mean, cast that round one TKO for on Gene Silva for us. Honestly, like I've done pretty well betting in Gene Silva. I mean, Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson, like, are they gonna give him another fight in the UFC, or did they cut him? I'm not sure. Maybe they give him another fight. Maybe they'll try to build someone up against Weston Wilson. The only reason Wilson made it ever made it to UFC was because he's homeboys with Wonder Boy, Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson. So that's the only reason he ever made it to UFC. And I think he's gonna go on a losing streak. He's gonna be cut soon enough. If he's not cut already, he's gonna be cut soon. All right, guys. Next up is gonna be Alex Reyes. Yeah. He's like 40 years old almost. Like I don't know. He hasn't fought. Like he came back after like 3 years off and got knocked out in the first round by Charlie Campbell. And now he's like almost like getting close to 40 years old. Honestly, yeah, in his prime he wasn't like terrible fighter, but yeah, he should be not in the UFC anymore. I think he should be cut from the UFC. He doesn't really seem like he's really taking his training serious anymore. He's just showing up for a paycheck at this point. So Alex Perez, I think he just shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. Even if he was in his prime, maybe it was like maybe he could have done good. But he just the inactivity, the fact that he's getting older, not in his prime anymore. I think he shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. Next up, we're gonna be talking about Darius Flowers. I'm so disappointed that I picked this guy over Michael Johnson. This dude is dog shit, bro. This dude is horrible. Like holy shit, man. Darius Flowers, like he's like 1 in 10 in boxing when he's fighting. And as I was like, still, I was like, maybe this dude can use his athleticism and the fact that he's in his prime right now over a guy like Michael Johnson, but he's just got no technique. Like he's absolutely horrendous. And I'm disappointed in myself for picking him over Michael Johnson. And I don't think Darius Flowers should ever be. He shouldn't be in the UFC. He shouldn't be fighting at the UFC level. I don't even think he would win fights at LFA. I know he's won a couple of fights in LFA, but if he goes back to LFA, maybe he can beat some of these lower level guys. But I don't think he's gonna beat anyone in the UFC. All right, guys. Next up, we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Gennaro Valdez. Gennaro Valdez is 0-3 in the UFC, and honestly, should not be in the UFC. I think he's still in the UFC right now on the roster, UFC roster, and he got knocked out by Jim Miller. I mean, brutally. He's been knocked out a couple. Like I think he's tough. He got a solid chin before that, but he's a tough Mexican fighter. But I don't think he's all that skilled, and shouldn't be in the UFC in my opinion. All right, guys. Next up, we're gonna be talking about is Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn's honestly not that terrible. He's not like a complete bum, but his chin is just dog shit. He's got no chin, and he's been knocked out so many times. I mean, he actually looked good out there against Grant Dawson. Took Grant Dawson to a draw, but because Grant Dawson absolutely gassed out in the third round, and Ricky Glenn had a 10-8 third round, so that fight ended up being a draw. But I don't think Ricky Glenn should be in the UFC anymore. I think he doesn't. I don't think he's really taking his training serious anymore. He's getting older, and I think he's gonna get chinned next fight. If he fights again UFC level, I think he's gonna get chinned badly again. He got knocked out brutally by Dude Dober, but Dude Dober has the most knockouts at 155. Really no shame there, but he's been knocked out a couple of times now at the UFC level, and it's not like a complete bum because he is skilled. Just he's got no durability, no chin, and the inactivity is kind of killing his career off. All right, guys. Next up, we're gonna be talking about is gonna be uh, Yusaku Kinoshita. Man, this dude, like if you land a deep kick to his body, like he's gonna fold. If you land a body shot on him, he's gonna fold. This dude has no durability, no chin. I mean, his chin is usually getting cracked to the body and then getting folded. And I don't think he was supposed to fight our boy Danny Barlow, man. I was max betting Danny Barlow against Kinoshita, and unfortunately, I mean, Josh Quinlan took that fight on short notice against Danny Barlow. We know Danny Barlow is a real deal. If Danny Barlow can go out there and knock out a guy like Josh Quinlan, what do you think that he was going to do to Kinoshita? I mean, look, good for Kinoshita. He pulled out of that fight, and we didn't get to see that fight. But I think Danny Barlow was going to knock him out in the first round. Kinoshita is young though. He's still skilled. He's got decent striking. Not terrible. He's got some technique behind him too. But it's just his body. Like you can hurt this guy to the body really easy. Just land a deep kick or body kick or like a liver shot. He's gonna fold right away. All right, guys. Next fight we're gonna be talking about is Reese McKee. I know Reese McKee was like 6-0 in Cage Warriors, but these Cage Warriors guys are absolute. Some of these Cage Warriors, not all of them, but some of these Cage Warrior guys at the UFC level are absolute frauds. I'm absolute bums. Shouldn't be in the UFC, in my opinion. Reese McKee is one of those guys, man. I mean, he actually put up a decent fight against Andalusa. I had a ton of money on Andalusa. I had Andalusa pull it up with Freed Basrad and Andre and Volkan Ozdemir fight on that. I think that fight was on the Paris card. And he actually looked good out there against Andalusa in that third round. I mean, Reese McKee is tough, though. He is tough. I mean, he took some big shots from Andalusa. But Lusa emptied the tank, and Reese McKee won the third round there, I think against Lusa. And Reese McKee, I mean, he fought Hamza Chimaev in his debut, so that's a tough fight for him. Hamza Chimaev took him down and ground and pounded him. Then he lost another fight. I can't remember who exactly he lost to. But yeah, Reese McKee should not be in the UFC. He's 0-3 at the UFC level, and I don't think he deserves to be in the UFC. I think he should be cut from the UFC now. Let's talk about the next one, guys. Next fighter we're going to be talking about is Jaitar, the Potato Man. Him and his brother are the Potato Brothers. They're known PED users, and they got caught with trying to smuggle PEDs in the UFC at the hotel where before the fight. So him and his brother are one of the biggest frauds in the UFC level. At the UFC level, I mean, Jaitar looked horrendous against Sardicus Dumas. I actually bet on Sardicus Dumas, and I don't think Dumas is all that good. But Ajaritar is an absolute fraud, and he's probably the biggest fraud in this video right now. Ajaritar should not be fighting at the UFC level. I think he's dog shit. He's old, and the only reason they put him on that Abu Dhabi card was because he's from that reason, fighting out of that reason from Abu Dhabi. All right, guys. That's the next fighter we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Dusko Todorovic. Dusko Todorovic has got no chin, no durability, no fight IQ. His striking is he's a good kickboxer, but his chin is just dog shit. He got knocked out brutally by Soriano, who's also a fraud. And Dusko Todorovic broke his ankle, I think, against CLD. I think CLD was gonna still knock him out either way, but he broke his ankle in that one, so is what it is. But his striking is legit. I mean, Dusko Todoric's striking is not that terrible, but his durability, he's got no durability, and I think he should not be fighting in the UFC anymore. I think he should be cut from the UFC now. Let's talk about the next fighter we're going to be talking about is Dennis Luden. I actually like Dennis Luden, man. He takes these tough matchups. He took on that fight with the Gregory Rodriguez. He took on that fight with his last fight with CLD. So honestly, like he's not complete bum. Like I don't think Dennis Luden's a complete bum, but I don't think he can really hang with these guys at the UFC level. And most of these guys are going out there finishing him early. Sometimes he looked good out there. He actually looked decent out there against Kizriev. I think he could have won the first round against Kizriev. I mean, yeah, Kizriev was a plus 8 1100 in that one. And eventually, Kizriev got the takedown in the second and got that rear naked choke locked in. But Tululin is tough, man. I actually like Tululin. I think he's not a complete bum, but I don't think he should be fighting at the UFC level. But I think they'll keep him around because he takes on these tough matchups. He never says no to a fight. So Dennis Tululin honestly isn't a complete bum though. All right, guys, let's talk about the next one. It's gonna be Punahele Soriano. Turned out to be a complete fraud. He went out there, got his ass whooped by Stoltzfus, and got submitted by Stoltzfus. Yeah, Soriano is a big disappointment in the UFC, and he had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. I mean, he looked good out there, got a couple of wins, but yeah, he's absolutely horrendous. I don't think he should be fighting in the UFC anymore. He had one of the most embarrassing performances out there in his last fight against Dustin Stoltzfus, and I think this Punahele should be cut from the UFC now. All right, guys. Next one we're gonna be talking about is Modestas Bukauskas. Now, Modestas Bukauskas is kind of skilled, man. He's got a decent skill set on him. He's not really skilled in one area. Like he's not really like the best striker out there or the best grappler out there. He's just tough in the first round. If you finish this guy in the first round, like Vitor Pino did, or second round early, he can definitely hang around and then just score some points on the judges' scorecards and just beat you by decision, like he did against Tyson Pedro. But Modestas Bukauskas has got no chin, no durability. I mean, Roundtree absolutely butchered his leg, and broke his leg with that kick to the calf. I think it was a kick to the kneecap, and it was a side kick to the kneecap and broke his ankle. Modestas Bukauskas, honestly, like I don't think they're gonna cut him because getting knocked out by Vitor Pino, absolutely no shame in that one. We did pick Vitor Pino by second on TKO in that one, but Modestas, I don't think he's ever gonna make it to the rankings in the UFC. To be honest, I think these guys are good. He's always gonna be live to get knocked out against these hard hitters. People that can knock him out are gonna knock him out. They're probably gonna keep him around in the UFC though. All right, guys. Next fighter we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Anton Turkalj, man, the pleasure man. This dude actually, like, people were like rating him high because he went out there and was able to take down Vitor Pino a couple of times, get some reversals. And I think Vitor Pino could have knocked him out if he just didn't go all in on the wrestling in that fight. But Petrino went all in on the grappling and just made it a kind of a close fight. Even then, he dominated the grappling exchanges. Turkalj is known as a grappler, but he's horrible. He's 0-3 in the UFC now. But he's lost to Almeida. I think he got submitted by Almeida. He took that fight on short notice. Then he took that fight with Vitor Petrino. Got decision in that fight against Vitor Petrino. Vitor Petrino went all in the grappling in that one. They were just grappling for 3 rounds. I think he won a single round in that fight. I can't remember exactly. The judges gave him a single round. Then he fought who did he fight last time? I think he fought Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro knocked him out in the first round. Tyson Pedro is a good striker, so really no shame in that one. So he has had some tough matchups in the UFC, But I don't. I think he's an absolute fraud, though. I don't think he's ever gonna win in the UFC. Even if they give him someone like Modestas Bukauskas, I still think Modestas would be able to beat him on the feet. To be honest, just by decision, maybe. Maybe they should make that matchup: Modestas Bukauskas versus Anton Turkalj next. All right, guys. Next fraud is gonna be Austin Lane. I don't think Austin Lane should be in the UFC at all. Austin Lane was a former football player, NFL player, and he should go back to playing NFL, playing in NFL, whatever. Uh, Yeah, I don't think Austin Lane should be at the UFC level. He got butchered by Justin Tafa. Tafa brother, Tafa gang, stand up. Let's go Tafa gang. And I actually bet on Tafa by first round TKO because I knew that Austin Lane's just his chin is horrible and his fight IQ is horrible and he doesn't really wrestle. He does have decent wrestling skills, but his entries are horrible. Like he'll enter and with the chin up in the middle and get clipped. That's why he got clipped by Justin Tafa. The Batman Tafa put him away. Crazy. He also got knocked out on the White Contender Series too. I think he got knocked out by that dude that was at the UFC at one point. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah. I think Austin Lane should not be fighting at the UFC level. But they're probably going to keep him around. They're probably going to try to build these other guys. They want to build them off. They're probably maybe they'll make a Rebellion to Spain take versus Austin Lane next, unless the UFC wants to build up the Spain into the rankings. But I think that'd be a decent matchup. Austin Lane feed Austin Lane to the Spain next. All right, guys. Next, absolute can is going to be Josh Parisian. Now, I do respect Josh Parisian because he took that fight with Despain, but we knew who Despain was. I can't believe Despain was only minus 300 in that one. Despain should have been like minus 1,000. I told you guys. And I had Despain in a bunch of parlays. I had the under 1.5 in a bunch of parlays. I said that Despain would knock him out in 30 seconds. So it took 18 seconds to knock him out. So I was right. I should have just bet under a minute. I think that we probably could have got good plus money on the under Despain by TKO in under a minute. And yeah, that Parisian just kind of walked into that overhand right from Despain. He was walking down Despain with the chin up in the middle and got absolutely butchered. But yeah, Parisian should not be in the UFC. I don't know why they're still keeping him around. They're probably gonna give him another opportunity because he took that fight with Despain, who's an absolute monster, 6'7", 6'8", or some shit, with the 86-inch reach. But I think Parisian should not be fighting in the UFC. I don't think he's ever gonna make anything of himself in the UFC level. But he's tough though. I do respect Parisian though. He's tough. Took on Despain, right? I don't think many people wanted to fight Despain. All right, guys. Next fight we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Caio Machado, man. Caio Machado, like his Dana White Contender Series fight was one of the worst fights I've seen in my life. Even though I picked him to win as a dog there, I picked him to win because he's Canadian. I was like, I'm just gonna cheer for this dude, see if he can get it done. That dude that he fought on Dana White Contender Series was dog shit too. This guy swings like hammers, like he swings from like his waist down. He swings from a mile away. You can see the punches coming if you're somewhat technical, like Mick Perkins was. Mick Perkins was able to take him down, but that fight was one of the worst fights I've seen in my life. I never want to go back and rewatch that fight. Machado is young though. Maybe he can make some improvements. He's got a decent submission skills on him. But I think if he takes on anyone that has good power on the feet, I think they can hurt him on the feet. But he's got a decent chin on him though. Mick Perkins is not really known for his power on the feet. He's a decisionator. And yeah, I'm not really excited to watch Caio Machado. But yeah, he's just not that good. I think he shouldn't be fighting at the UFC level, to be honest. If you guys don't agree with me, go watch this fight with Dana White Contender Series. Even though he was a dog in that one, but that was one of the worst fights I've seen in my life. Watching him, I've been watching him for over 10 years, and that was one of the worst fights ever. All right, guys. Next fraud at heavyweight is gonna be none other than Jack Pauga. I think Jack Pauga should not be fighting in the UFC, and I've done pretty well betting against Jack Pauga. The only time I picked Jack Pauga to ever win in the UFC was against, I think it was Modestas Bukauskas. That's the only guy that I've picked against him. And that was a horrible fight to watch. That's one of the worst fights I've seen in my life too. And thank God that Bogdan Gusko was able to go out there and knock out Jack Pauga in that first round. And Jack Pauga is one of those guys that loves to cage push and just hold people up against the fence. And his wrestling is horrible. He's known for his wrestling. Wrestling is horrible. He also got knocked out by Muhammad Usman in the Contender Series. I think Jao Paga should not be fighting in the UFC. He should be released by the UFC soon enough, and I hope you see him getting released by the UFC soon. So that's it. I guess those are the absolute cans, the guys that should not be fighting at the UFC level. I mean, no disrespect to anyone. I do respect all these fighters for going out there fighting in a cage for a living. It's not easy, but I just don't think they deserve to be at the UFC fighting at the UFC level. We don't need to see these guys at the UFC level. But good for them. I mean, they made it to the UFC, right? Good for them, and shout out to them, bro. Shout out to all these guys. But those are the absolute cans that I could think of. So make before we end this video, I'm gonna give us some shout out to the members again, bro. I recently turned on my members, and guys, I'm gonna be shouting out some members. Shout out to everyone that's watching this video right now. I appreciate you guys, and shout out to YFF Tactical Solutions. Yeah, shout out to UFC Casual. Shout out to Devin 4K. Shout out to MMA Clips. Denial 218. Shout out to Lato Spencer, Trevor Herman, Luis Empereno, TG, Angela Rosendahl, Nate Brown. Nate Brown's been gifting memberships like every fucking stream, man. Big shout out to Nate Brown also for helping build this community, man. And shout out to all you savages out there that are watching this video right now. I appreciate you guys hitting the like button. I appreciate you guys leaving a comment down below. It helps out the YouTube algorithm. And I'm hoping to I'm gonna stay on this grind, man. We're gonna keep building the channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I just wanted to make a fun video on for UFC because we don't have the best card this weekend. We have a fight night card back in that fucking Apex. I hate the Apex so much, but we still got some fights. I mean, I'll be live for the Fight Companion. So make sure you guys come hang out with me. And I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.